Hello comic fans. Here's Earl Grey. Not in the best condition health-wise. Nothing biggie, no biggie, just a cold. But I apologize about my voice. And here's the thing that I want to talk today about. Next artist edition overview on my channel here. Neal Adams Classics by DC and Scott Dunbier, obviously. And this has had come out already in the last year, April 2025. Somehow I overlooked it. But now it is here in the Grey Mansion, and I have to talk about it. And this book here, we will grab this later on for comparison purposes. Otherwise, I don't want to do too much comparisons with the with other publications with Neal Adams stuff, because this book here is so huge and so interesting that I don't want to change the focus here, and I'm a bit lazy. Could apologize this with my health problems as well. Right, so yeah, let's do a lazy artist edition overview. I hope you're in for the ride. I was into this book, and the main draw for me was obviously Neal Adams' Batman stuff, but this is just a fraction of the drawings here in the book. Just 90 pages of 290 pages, so it's not even a third, not even 30% of the whole stuff, even though it's spectacular, and it's just a really thick book. And so there's by this guy here, and there's Deadman in it, which was his breakthrough stuff, Green Arrow, Superman, even some Wild Western tales, and a very touching foreword by Bill Sienkiewicz, who shares his very fond memories of his relationship with Neal Adams. He makes it very clear that there would have been no cartoonist Bill Sienkiewicz without his dad, Neal Adams. So high praise and obviously deserved. So now here's the Batman part, an overview about the Batman part, the table of contents, just for the very first 90 pages or so, and you can pause the video and look for yourself if the stuff is in this book that you hope for. And this story in the beginning is an exception in terms of that this is a complete story. So we have a funny, really heartwarming Christmas story. Somehow the Christmas spirit made it to Gotham and everything is right. And Batman sings Christmas song, and it's a bit like a reference to all the camp and the goofiness of the Batman that came before Neal Adams, which I really liked. I'm not necessarily in the camp of the grim and gritty Batman. That I wouldn't prefer it every time. I think both Batman have their reason to exist. So I really like this goofy and campy Batman 66 stuff. But this was new in terms of realism and dynamism. But here it's pretty campy and goofy and heartwarming. A very good introduction into this Bat world by Neal Adams. And great panels right there. And you have this artist edition stuff like glued in letters or pieces of paper and blue lines and all that good stuff. But with the exception of that very first story, we get loose stuff, certain covers, pieces, bits and pieces of certain stories. No complete stories like in the Jim Aparo Artist Edition, in which you have stories that you can read from start to finish. This is not the case here. But for me, it's actually no problem, because these fragments that you get in this book are so familiar to you and to Bat fans that you can piece together the start and the beginning, and many story ideas may have been brand new back in the day when Neal Adams invented them, respectively Danny O'Neill, who wrote the Bat stories. But today it feels almost like, a collection of bad cliches. I don't mean this in a bad way, but no problem to figure out how these stories start or end when you just read a few pages of them. I really love these collages Neal Adams did very often. And then he painted over the whole drawing here, and it's beautiful. It's just beautiful. So, and in older artist edition, they would have done this page as a translucent page to put this over this. There's no translucent papers. This is a gimmick that they skipped, unfortunately, but you can see this on the title, so absolutely no big deal. I have to say, I came for the bad stuff. That was the reason to buy this tome. Beautiful fold-out stuff here, and look what a Raja Rule drawing. The pencil drawings all throughout this book are the most amazing pages, and a reason for me alone to buy this tome, actually. But even though the bad stuff was the reason to buy this tome, it's not my favorite part in the book, as you will see. That's an angry bat right there. Are you man or fiend from hell? And that's really Neal Adams' take on the Batman in a nutshell. Not the goofy Batman from before, but really the man, the Dark Knight. So I guess it's enough bats for now, and even the Joker has a real threatening feel there. Oh yeah, famous cover. Lots of famous cover and depictions throughout the book. And look at this pencil drawing here. This seems for a Brave and the Bold thing here with Aquaman. And beautiful. The real breakthrough for Neal Adams was earlier with his Deadman stories. I mean, I'm not a Neal Adams expert at all. Actually, I feel there would be a lot of you out there watching this video and having much more knowledge about Mr. Adams as me, and so I would be really glad if you can correct me or add some information about Mr. Neal Adams, because he was such an important figure, and I mean, many people obviously have memories of meeting that guy. I had heard of some that Neal Adams was in his later ages a bit maybe full of himself, but this would contradict totally to the statements that you can read in this book here. And actually, he had a lot of reason to be full of himself, because he was just an icon, and And it's a crime to go through drawings like this, flip through in some seconds. So let's stay a bit longer on this drawing with from Strange Adventures with the Deadman there. And look at the hatching here, the perspective. This is almost a show of skills, or actually impossible to depict. I really wonder what Danny O'Neill has written. Make some shot from under, and this thing moves, and Deadman flies around, and above we have him tossing them down, and everything should be readable and easy and be read in a breeze. And it is totally readable, and even though it's as complex as fuck. The layouts by Neal Adams are a subject matter for itself. That should be taught in cartoonist school, I think. Even the perspectives and his foreshortening is all usually on point. The legs here seem a bit long, but anyhow, who I am to judge. It's a fun package, and look at this page here. And this is maybe, I mean, the Deadman stuff all throughout is my favorite part of the book so far. Probably the next time when I flip through these pages, it will be another part. But in particular, this page is fantastic. There are a lot of fist fights in this artist edition, and all over the oeuvre of Neal Adams. It feels almost 10% of his panels are with some kind of fist fight. And it's somehow never boring, and especially this page when Deadman meets his murderer. I'm not so much into the lore, but I guess of Deadman, but I guess Mr. Hook here, the Hook, is his murderer. And he has this hook, hence the name, I guess. And Neal Adams scratched the page. You can see here how the paper is torn. I mean, talking about expressive art style. And these shadows, it's the dynamic, it's breathtaking. The way the cage here makes a pattern on its own and breaks the page into pieces, just almost like shattered glass. That's a part where almost each page is another experiment. What you can do with a piece of comic, on a page of a comic. And there's more Deadman stuff from the pages of Strange Adventures. The page composition reminds me somehow of, if not Jack Kirby, Wally Wood, maybe even. So, and we have again Mr. Hook. And that's foreshortening deluxe right in front of our eyes. And on the opposite page, some collage stuff. Different layers glued together for a really real piece of art there. Beautiful. But if you thought that Neal Adams could not get more expressive, then I have this expression here for you, in which he goes full on Edvard Munch. What a fantastic drawing. It's here are some pages of this story, in which he learns about that Hook is actually his murderer. But I don't know, maybe this was one of many parallel storylines, so there is maybe another solution who killed the Deadman. I don't care too much, but I care a lot about this. Again, fist fight, but this is some knockout. Yeah. The next portion of the book is dedicated to the green guys, the Green Lanterns, and Green Arrow. And there are a lot of these stories that are famous, in particular because they tackle or there were social commentaries about drug abuse here. In Snowbirds Don't Fly, and they almost apologize in the beginning. Some will say the following story should not be told, but hey, it should be told, and it was a very important story. And so Neal Adams was a guy who really thought out of the comic bubble, and he had a voice, and he had to say something about the current situation back then. And sometimes I wonder if we have today enough of these guys like Neal Adams back then. Beautiful black and white drawings, and here you can see a slight change of his art style, and this will become more significant. Here you have the pencils. I don't know if these seem to be penciled and then given to print. I have enough. What a drawing there! It's obviously taking with a photo beneath or in front, but I don't care. It's fantastic portrait of the man. Again, fantastic. It's a lot of fantastic stuff here. Sorry, but however, it's genius. It's brilliant. This composition there. So, and so much pencil drawings. I really cherish all of this stuff. And then we have the next part, and this is House of Mystery and House of Secrets material. So the horror stories from way back then. Very famous cover, and this as well. And then we have a story, and that's the reason why I put out this book, even though it's no colors, because it's Showcase Presents, and that's the way they did Showcase Presents. But it's really a significant example how important is the reproduction, because it doesn't have to be the size here, but when you reproduce from pencil art, you have to do it the right way. And I would argue that however they did this in the House of Mystery number 178. Yeah, look for yourself. The original publication was obviously done in color, so this is a bit an unfair comparison that I will do right now. But I'm an unfair person, so I'll do it anyway. It's a bit tricky. So maybe let's do it this way. So here you can see this page where the boy who was at some friend on a birthday party, he won a game, and then he walks alone home. And that's not a good idea, especially not in a horror story or in a horror book. A very moody and a very ambiguous story. So the story I do like quite a bit. But now I could see the art, all the details that have been swallowed in the reproduction process there. Not only the whiteout parts, but all the different tones that Neal Adams created with his pencil. Probably this is actually a story that is complete, reproduced completely here in the artist edition. Forgot about it. Yeah, it's complete. And it's brilliant throughout. So it's the same story, of course, but the drawings look so much better. And especially this, I would call it, this is almost the key panel, the most important panel story-wise. And this is how it looks in the artist edition. This is where the true horror comes in. It's almost very subtle for one of these old comics. The story about this boy who wants to walk home and goes into a house because it rains, and he looks for shelter. And somehow this is this saves him from a big flood. Then his dad comes around and he survived under mysterious circumstances. Yeah, we're in the house of mystery after all. And we're in the house of art for sure. Wonderful creation of space through some pencil lines that clearly depict this muddy ground with all these pits. Then there are some Action Comics pages / Superman stuff, like this collage where Superman flies off this air photography. And again, some fold-outs, like this edition here is really generous with this kind of stuff, and gorgeously drawn. I don't know Superman, obviously, but it's just a man in dire stress. And on the other hand, more this happy-go-lucky superhero stuff and portrait gallery of the DC heroes. So Neal Adams could obviously do and deliver all sides of the DC lore, the funny, heroic, and the grim and gritty. Slowly but surely, we arrive at the end of the book. So even though it's a sin, I just rush through the pages. And there's thinking about it, there is a third story that is completely reprinted here, with Clark having to do some babysitting, which is not an heroic but a very fun story. here and shows Mr. Clark Kent from a different angle. So, but the book ends with glorious wild western pages. I've never heard actually about a guy named Tomahawk or J. Orlando MFC. Don't know for which publication this drawing is, but it's gorgeous. All these duotones or sepia tones and washes. Yeah, and we have here Tomahawk. And what this page again makes so special, the drawing is great, but this post-treatment makes it really extra special. So this book has it all. Neal Adams, and not in a nutshell, but in a huge tome, but from very different perspectives. What I think whatever he did in DC is represented here with some examples. So yeah, a beautiful book. I could not wish more, and I'm really glad that I have it. But there's no exception actually, because these artist editions are always a banger. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.